Riverdale, Clayton County.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you come into contact with a David James Robinson on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
And what brought you into contact with Mr. Robinson?
Well, during a separate incident, Mr. Robinson was observed by a narcotics unit, pulling into a neighborhood that we was watching. He made contact with another male. The male entered his patrol vehicle. Entered his vehicle. They was there momentarily. It was a short period of time. The male exited the vehicle, and Mr. Robinson left the neighborhood. He was later followed by that narcotics officer that observed him doing meeting with the other subject. He observed him going around the curve and mishandling his vehicle, driving on the yellow lines, uh, failing to maintain his vehicle, and he.
Hold on, let me stop you 1 second, because failure to maintain your vehicle can mean more than one thing. When you say fail to maintain your vehicle, are you talking about not staying in his lane, or are you talking about something else?
Yes, ma'am. Talk about not staying in his lane.
Okay, and was this observed by the officer that was behind him?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened after that?
That infraction was then advised to me, so I conducted a traffic pullover.
So you did not see the fail to maintain yourself. The narcotics officers did.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After were you able to successfully conduct the traffic stop?
Yes, ma'am. He rode for a little bit, but he did stop.
And after he stopped, what happened next?
I made contact with the young man, spoke to him, advised him why I pulled him over, and then the odor of marijuana arose from inside the vehicle. The smell of marijuana arose from inside the vehicle.
So did this occur while you're talking with the person?
Yes.
And after you observed the odor of marijuana, what happened next, if anything?
I asked him to step out of the vehicle after we had a short conversation about his goings and comings. But during that conversation, he changed his statement so many times. It seemed that he forgot where he was coming from, and what he was doing, and who he was talking to, and who was inside his vehicle.
Were there other people inside of the vehicle?
At that time, no, ma'am.
Okay. Did it appear to you, or am I misunderstanding you? But did it appear to you he didn't know that he was in the car by himself?
No, ma'am. He knew he was in the car by himself, but he didn't. Uh, so he didn't know that we observed him inside the neighborhood. So when we was asking questions, well, when I was talking to him, he was telling me completely opposite of what he had just done.
So you're talking about the prior narcotics incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So after you spoke with him, what happened next, if anything?
I asked him to step out of the vehicle. Once he stepped out of the vehicle, we went to the rear of the vehicle, and a proper call search was conducted on that vehicle due to the odor of marijuana.
Okay. What? And did you find anything? Was anything recovered?
Yes, ma'am. A small pill was recovered using a pill identifier website. It was identified as oxycodone.
And who used the pill identifier? Was that you, or was that someone, another officer at the scene?
That was me.
Okay. And was there anything other than one pill recovered?
No, ma'am. That was the only pill recovered.
Where was it recovered from?
It was under the passenger seat, closer to the center console.
Was that on the front passenger seat or the back?
Front passenger seat.
You were just laying on the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he have anything to say about the pill, where it came from, who it belonged to, anything?
At the first moment, no, ma'am. He advised that it wasn't his. He said the car belonged to his cousin. Um, Then he recanted his statement. He advised he wanted to speak to a narcotics detective. From that point on, the case was bound over to the narcotics division, but my body cam stayed rolling while the young man spoke to the narcotics detective. He advised different than what he advised during the traffic stop.
And when you say different from what he advised in the traffic stop, what do you mean?
Well, I didn't put it in my report because, like I said, I bound it over to the narcotics detective. Due
Okay,
to him.
let's keep something straight because I don't want the record to get confused. When you're saying bound up, you're meaning you transferred to narcotics detectives for them to pursue it?
Yes, ma'am. By his
Okay,
request.
let's use transferred, okay? Because bound over is what the court does, okay?
My apologies.
No, don't apologize. It's just terminology. We got
Yes,
to
ma'am.
use it. Okay, so the narcotics detectives interviewed the defendant at the scene.
Objection, Your
Yes,
Honor.
What's the objection?
Leading, she said, she led and said they interviewed him at the scene.
I believe the officer previously testified to that, Your Honor. I was trying to get us back on track.
Okay,
But
just rephrase it. Yes, thank you.
Did anyone interview the defendant at the scene?
yes, ma'am.
And who was that?
A separate narcotics detective.
And was this captured or commemorated in any way?
Yes, ma'am. It was body camera was recorded during the traffic stop.
Statement that the defendant made, was it consistent with what he told you earlier?
No, ma'am.
How did it vary?
So he went from telling me that he doesn't do those things. He said he was on probation or whatnot. He don't condone in controlled substances, also known as drugs. He said he doesn't condone in them. Uh, he said it wasn't his pill. He said the car didn't belong to him. Once he spoke to the narcotics detective, he told them that he do what he have to do to get money, and that he can refer them to other people.
And I believe you indicated you had your body cam on at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Was it operable?
Yes, ma'am.
Did it record your interactions with this defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did it record this conversation he had with the narcotics detective?
Yes, ma'am.
After speaking with the narcotics detective, what happened to the pill?
The pill was taken to our headquarters building and placed in evidence.
Has it been tested?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure. Due to it being bounded over to me, due to it being the case being transferred over to narcotics, I didn't put in a DOFIS form to get it sent away because the young man said he wanted to help us get who he got his stuff from.
Okay. But far as you know, it is in police custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Was anything else recovered from the car?
No, ma'am.
Anything else recovered from him?
No, ma'am.
So what happened to him after he talked to the narcotics detective?
The young man was released back in. He was released.
Released to who?
He was he was free to leave.
How did he get in jail?
He agreed to the terms of speaking with the narcotics officer to get what they call a plug to turn. He was gonna turn his plug in. The person he gets the drugs from, he was gonna turn that person in.
But he's in jail. How did he get arrested?
So he and the narcotics detective had a conversation in reference to him not going missing. He advised that he was on probation. He wouldn't go missing. He wanted to help. And 3 weeks went by and he went missing. We couldn't get in contact with him. I called, 2 other narcotics detectives called. He said that he was living in Mount Zion in a hotel. He said he was moving a couple days after that situation, but he did promise that he wouldn't go missing, and he did go missing.
So he failed to comply with the agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Who took out warrants to have him arrested?
I did.
And I believe you indicated previously the case was supposed to be transferred to a narcotics detective. So how did you know what happened after that?
I kept the narcotics detective that I switched the case over to. He kept me updated on the case due to me being the initial officer.
So were you notified by the narcotics detective that the defendant had not cooperated or upheld his end of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the narcotics detective have you take out warrants, or how did that come down?
Yes, ma'am.
Last question. The fail to maintain lane, do you know if that was recorded or captured on body cam or dash cam or anything like that?
The conversation, I'm sure, was captured on body cam, but due
No,
to
I'm sorry.